like to call the meeting to order and welcome everybody to Laverne Planning Commission, December 29th, 2020 at 6 p.m. regular meeting. First item of business, we do have a quorum. First item is approve the meeting minutes from November 24th, 2020 regular meeting.
Motion to accept as submitted.
We have a motion to accept by Mayor Cole. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Mr. Coates. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. We need a roll call on that? Okay. Our first item, site plan Casa de Gloria Church, has been deferred. We'll move on to item number 2. Site plan National Indoor RV Center requested by Fulmer Lucas, existing building on 11 acres, property located at 1201 Bridgestone Parkway, tax map 17, parcel 26, I-2 Heavy Industrial Zoning District, property owned by Old Dominion Freight Lines, Inc. Mr. Logan.
Thank you. This is the request for National Indoor RV, and it is located on Bridgestone Parkway. And this site is actually owned by Old Dominion Freight Lines, and the National Indoor RV will be the tenant, and they will lease their part of the property from Old Dominion Freight Lines. So we've seen this several times now. There's a zoning map, so we're talking about the corner of Bridgestone and Waldron Road. And photos here show the service building. So this is the middle building on the site plan. And there's 9 bays with the bay doors and metal roof. And then this is the Hoover building, which is the corner office building that housed the Hoover facility for a long time. So those are the 2 buildings that they are leasing, I guess, directly. The 3rd building on your site plan is, it's called the shop. So here's the shop to the far left, which is the north side of the plan. And then the long building in the middle is the building with the 9 bay doors. And then the Hoover building's on the corner. So Old Dominion will retain this building to the north, and we'll see it a little bit later on their site plan. And the technical items for this site have been addressed over the last 2 months, and the last remaining items were the architectural overlay requirements, because this is in the architectural overlay district for Waldron Road, the entire parcel. So last I heard from the applicant, they're letting the Old Dominion site plan will be essentially in charge of changing the building and adding materials to make it compliant with overlay. So we don't have an unusual submittal in that we don't have it's not a traditional submittal where you'd have 2 different applicants and 2 different material boards and 2 different color elevations. It's just whatever Old Dominion chooses is what will be used for all 3 buildings on the site. So other than that, there were no outstanding technical items. I know we've covered the sidewalk in the past 2 months as well, and that sidewalk currently wraps the corner, but Old Dominion will be installing it all the way down on Bridgestone for the entire frontage. And of course, the corner will be closed off, as you'll see here and again later in the meeting. This access is being closed off at the nearest to the corner of Waldron and Bridgestone. And unless Mr. Leach has anything, I don't have anything else. So that completes the report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Logan. Do we have any questions or comments from the board?
Mr. Chairman, I do, just as for staff, just a question. The drawing that we're looking at for National Indoor shows Fulmer Lucas, and then the Old Dominion is another engineer, TTL. There are some minor differences. Is that something you can handle yourself?
Yeah, they are different engineers that prepared it, so there's just some little minor differences that you'll have from it coming from 2 different offices that'll be sorted out whenever they actually go through construction.
Okay, thank you.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Any other questions or comments?
Yes, I had one question as far as the the entrance on Bridgestone Parkway, I think it was discussed as to whether that would be widened or not. I don't see what the width is here on these.
On the Old Dominion site submittal that you'll look at next, it shows it being widened to 40 feet, which is what Alderman Coates had requested.
Okay.
Perfect, thank you. Any other questions?
Then, Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to accept as submitted.
We have a motion to accept as submitted by Alderman Coates. We have a second.
Our second.
We have a second by Mayor Cole. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Correct? All right.
Yes.
Okay. Only when there's discrepancy, roll call for it. There you go. Very good. Thank you, sir. Next item. Amendment to site plan, Old Dominion Freight Lines addition requested by TTL, existing facilities on 22.95 acres, property located at 1205 Bridgestone Parkway, tax map 17, parcel 26, I-2 Heavy Industrial Zoning District, property owned by Old Dominion Freight Lines, Inc. Mr. Logan.
So this is the request for Old Dominion Freight Lines, and it's the same site. So it's the same 3 buildings that we saw in the last item, except Old Dominion's only adding to this building, which they call the shop, which is to the far north of the site. So that is the main purpose of their site plan, and also to present the proposed materials for the exterior of the buildings. You can see there on the zoning map, so it's I-2, and really this whole area is I-2. And here's the latest plan for Old Dominion. Kind of covers both sides. So this is the north side. So the shop is here, and they are adding a little under 3,000 square feet to this shop. And that's shown on the plans. So this covers Waldron Road, and here's the intersection at Bridgestone Parkway and Waldron. So this covers the frontage here, and you can see the ingress, egress to the south of the Hoover Building is shown on this image. And then the exterior elevations, you saw these at the workshop, and I couldn't see anything that has changed since the workshop for the exterior. So they're proposing these panels, architectural panels to cover the building and the addition, cover the shop and the addition to the shop. And then for the larger building, which is also known as the middle building, the same architectural panels on the outside, and they'll also be making some changes to the doors as well. And these are also in your packet. They submitted full-size color elevations, which are in each packet, so you can see those up close. They had a few items for Mr. Leach, but everything with planning had been taken care of. So I'll let Mr. Leach speak to those items. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Logan. Mr. Leach, sir?
All items have been corrected. There shouldn't be any in your list, so.
Very good, thank you, sir. Any questions or comments from the board?
Chairman, I just have one for staff again. With the addition to the building, it's taken over the 5,000 square feet. Is that a firewall that's going to be put in between the 2 buildings?
They intend to sprinkle it, so the firewall, the question of the firewall actually will come at the time of their building permit. My assumption would be, given that it is sprinkled and it's an industrial building, that it wouldn't necessarily have to have a firewall, since that's typically for a residential type structure.
Thank you,
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to accept as submitted.
We have a motion to accept as submitted by Alderman Coates.
Our second.
We have a second by Mayor Cole. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Next item. Site plan, DNA partnership, requested by Huddleston Steel, proposed parking lot on 2.03 acres, property located on Sand Hill Road, tax map 14, parcel 67.05, I-2 Light Industrial Zoning District, property owned by DNA Partnership LLC. Mr. Logan.
Thank you. So this is site plan for Sand Hill Road. It's a 2-acre site on the south side of Sand Hill Road. And you can see it here in the image. The goal of this submittal is to make this a parking area, and there's no other buildings or structures that are planned at this time. And you can see the zoning map. So this is I-1 light industrial, which is this entire blue area. So a lot of this area is up and down Dick Buchanan, and it's also I-1. And then, of course, LaSalle Court is near here on the north side, which is in the next item. But for this item, last month, the entrance was discussed, and they had a 30-foot wide entrance, and then you can see in the new plan on the screen, it's now a 40-foot wide entrance. And they've also added one of the comments from the workshop was a landscape plan. So you'll see in your packet, they've submitted the landscape plan, and the planting schedule is also shown right here, the plant materials schedule. And applicant called me last Monday before Christmas, and we had a discussion about the dustless surface, and they were asking about gravel, and I advised them that the gravel would not be accepted by the city, so they've changed the plan to show all dustless surfaces. The other note in the report, and I think I made it in bold, so they did add note number 7 to the site plan that says they agree to pay the city $9,500 as the fee in lieu for sidewalks. So, I'm not sure how that was worked out, but that's what they added to the plan. I don't know if the board, that's part of your normal voting, so you can vote on that or vote to deny it, whichever y'all want to do. But I'll let Mr. Leach speak to that if he would like. Other than that, because there's no buildings, it's fairly straightforward site plan. Here's a photo of the site, and they have a winged head wall here with the ditch. So this is existing, and you can see their entrance there is just gravel currently with a, it is fenced, but currently it's a gravel ingress, egress. And other than that, I think that covers all the outstanding notes. So if anybody has any questions, we'll be happy to answer those. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Logan. Mr. Leach, would you like to touch on the fee and lieu sidewalks?
So with this being a industrial site, you know, there's some provisions in the subdivision regulation regarding that. As to the requirement, we have, you know, required some to put them in. Sometimes we've done fee and lieu. We've kind of discussed that 5 or 6 different ways. The applicant requested that, you know, they be allowed to do the fee and lieu. I told them how to calculate it. They calculated it, put in the notes. Basically, their request is to do the fee and lieu. As far as, you know, a staff recommendation one way or the other, there is no sidewalk on this side of the road, as you can see from the pictures. Also, the sidewalk will be on the far side of a fairly large ditch, as you can also see. So it's not necessarily the most ideal of locations for said sidewalk. So as to whether we need it or not, it won't hurt things either way, but there's probably better places in the city to use $9,500 worth of sidewalk.
Very good, thank you. Questions or comments from the board?
I'm disappointed that the applicant didn't put the sidewalks in. He addressed all the other items, but I'm concerned that they're not putting it in. We would encourage him to put sidewalks in, and I know it's an industrial area, but this road is starting to get built out as it goes through, and I think it'd be good to have a sidewalk put in there for later use at a later date.
Agreed.
And I agree with that. I think we've come a long way, especially with right across the street, that improving that look and tying it in with Hollandale. I personally would like to see it.
If you would, sir, please come to the podium and state your name and address for the record, sir.
My name is Scotty Ritter. I plan on putting sidewalks in there. We're using this right now just to park the trucks. Eventually, we're gonna put the warehouses out there. I would appreciate y'all if y'all took that into consideration. In about 5 years, we're gonna probably, in time, put sidewalks out there. Right now, all they're using it is for parking, but I would, the next go around when we lay out the warehouses out there, I will put sidewalks if y'all take that in consideration, please.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
With that, I guess the question would be for engineering or legal.
My thought would be from legal perspective, if we
Yeah,
accept this, would that kill any requirements in the future for sidewalks?
Yeah, but the problem is, I mean, I'm sure he means exactly what he says, but there's no means to enforce that in 5 years, so the decision has to be made here tonight.
I'd like to make a comment, Mr. Chairman.
Please, Mr. Lee.
And also what we have to consider is, once we approve this as a parking area, there still is no guarantee that that will ever change. I'm not denying what you're saying, sir, but once this is passed like this, and we're gonna see trucks out there, that could be
Years to come.
indefinitely. Just to remind the board of that. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions or comments?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to deny due to the lack of sidewalks.
A motion to deny due to the lack of sidewalks. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Mr. Lee. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? Motion passes. Next item. Item number 5, site plan. Lot 15, Ritter Properties, requested by Huddleston Steel, proposed building on 3,200 square feet. Property located at 100 LaSalle Court, tax map 14J, Group D, parcel 15, I-1 Light Industrial Zoning District, property owned by DNA Partnership LLC. Mr. Logan.
So this request is for site plan approval on LaSalle Court, which is just almost across the street from the previous item. And LaSalle Court runs on the north side of Sand Hill and connects to it there. And there's not much left on Sand Hill, as you can see from this photo. All of these smaller warehouses have built out over the last 3 to 4 years. And so this is one of the last remaining sites. So this is the corner lot, and I know last month, or excuse me, 2 weeks ago when we looked at it, you can see that there's an existing sidewalk on Holland Ridge, and that sidewalk comes down and ends right here where the red dot is. And so on the plan, they're proposing to pick up with a new sidewalk, which will connect and run all the way along Sand Hill. And then that sidewalk wraps around and goes up here to their driveway. So it wraps around at the corner of LaSalle and Sand Hill. And they have changed that since the workshop, so that's been added. And also they've added the landscape requirements, the landscape plan, since the workshop, and some site photos. So this is how it looks this month. Just a vacant lot for now. So that's looking toward the intersection at Dick Buchanan and Holland Ridge. And then this is the north side of the site. And LaSalle is a basic curb and gutter street. And again, it's had a lot of development in the last 3 or 4 years. So we've been out there several times as each project gets completed. This warehouse that they're proposing will be about 3,200 square feet. And the site is a little over 16,000 square feet, 16,328. And this is a one-story, similar to all the others that are along LaSalle. And they are proposing all dustless surfaces and some areas also of tar and chip will be located next to the new building. So those areas would be on the north and south sides of the building. And we've already covered the sidewalks, and there weren't any other outstanding comments, so that completes the report. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Logan. Do we have any questions or comments in regards to this item?
Motion for approval as submitted.
We have a motion for approval,
Our second.
second by Mayor Cole. Motion by Mr. Holliday. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Sorry about that. Next item, item number 6. Final plat, Old Dominion Freight Lines requested by TTL, boundary adjustment for 2 existing lots on 22.95 acres. Property located at 1201 and 1205 Bridgestone Parkway, tax map 17, parcel 26 and 28, I-2 Heavy Industrial Zoning District, property owned by Old Dominion Freight Lines, Inc. Mr. Logan.
Thank you. This is a final plat request for approval, and it's fairly minor. They're just, with the site plan that Old Dominion had submitted over the last 2 months, they had a setback issue. So this allows them to come into compliance with the setbacks in the zoning ordinance. So they're moving the existing boundary between the 2 lots. They're moving it 7 feet, so not very far. Again, it's just to make them compliant with all their setbacks. And since this is a minor change and it's a minor final plat, there's no preliminary plat that's required. And of course, you're not adding any infrastructure either, so. I don't think were any engineering comments, so that completes the report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Logan. Do we have any questions or comments from the board?
Chairman, I'll make a motion to accept as submitted.
We have a motion to accept as submitted by Alderman Coates. Do we have a second?
Our second.
We have a second by Mayor Cole. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Next item. Item number 7, set bond amount for Carruthers Crossings Phase 1, tax map 29, parcel 29, requested by Dollar Homes, PDR Planned Density Residential Zoning District. Mr. Logan.
Thank you. This is the request to set the bond amount for Carruthers Crossing Phase 1. And on behalf of their client, SEC has submitted the required documents, and plus the 3 construction bids and the 20% contingency that's required in the subdivision regulations, and also a stamped estimate by the engineers. And the bids that were received came from Hawkins LLC, the Nickel Company, and Sessions Paving Company. And the engineer's estimate comes in total to $248,340. And Phase 1 consists of 98 lots. And that completes the report. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Do we have any other questions or comments in regards to this amount? We'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion to accept the bond at amount at $248,340.
We have a motion by Mayor Cole to accept the stated amount. Do we have a second? Second. Second by Mr. Lee. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. And our final item is bonds and letters of credit update. Mr. Leach.
Mr. Chairman, Board, really not been any change. The only thing that will be changing in the foreseeable future is Lakewood's 7, 8, 9, and 10 were accepted, so once we get through the process of releasing those, they'll go down to maintenance bonds. But as they are cashier checks, the city actually cashes those, and now we have to write a check back to the developer. So just takes a little minute to turn that around.
Very good. Any questions or comments on that item? With that, I'd like to thank everyone for the time. Meeting adjourned.